Hello viewers and welcome to our preview for Overpass, a game we've been looking forward to for some time, finally going to be released this week, and we're just checking out a near final build here running on the PC version. Overpass then, it's a game we covered obviously last year at E3, rock climbing, it's an off-road rock climbing sort of simulation game. It works a lot with physics, different textures. This is an interesting sport when you see it. I mean, it's quite risky when you see some of the vehicles doing these kinds of climbs. It's very technical, and the simulation here aims to do something different. You know, a lot of the games we cover on the channel are traditional racing games, and this game is quite hard to demo at the same time because you really have to look at the environments, look at how to approach them in the vehicle you're in, and learn how to work with those environments, learn how much traction you may have, whether to put your foot down, whether to take it very slowly, whether to attack an obstacle head on. And here you see some of the different locations. There are 6 main locations, and within those lots of tracks as well to explore. My goodness, there's all kinds of variants in terms of weather, times of day. As far as I'm aware, it's not dynamic weather, it's static weather, but either way everything has a nice unique look to it. Calm environments, rugged environments, lots to explore as well. Lots in terms of rock or sand or mud. You know, from forests to deserts, it's all there as well, and a wide range of vehicles. You know, 24 vehicles, 9 quads and 15 buggies, which you can get around, and they will all have their various handling styles. Now, the time of playing this, obviously, I've not tested all the different buggies out. Kevin will be going through that in his review, no doubt, and we'll be having a team chat to go through the game in more detail. And I'll be doing a few more detailed videos, just simply driving through some of the courses. Some of it in this video I've edited today, and I may edit the runs. What do you guys think if you're watching now? Would you rather see edited runs or unedited runs? I can tell you right now that, you know, once you hit a challenge, as we were looking at one of the early courses here, just in the career mode, and just in the career mode, you can see the map of different courses and challenges to earn different objects for your range in terms of upgrades and developing yourself as a driver, whether it's with the quads or the buggies. Lots to see and do. I'll be interested to see how this expands as you play more and more further into the game. So it's really about understanding those challenges and understanding how you approach them. As I say, some will be fast, some will be slow, and sometimes, you know, if I get stuck on an object, I can be there for 4 or 5 minutes just stuck on one object, and sometimes it will get quite frustrating when you can't seem to figure it out. It is not easy. You can easily get beached. You need to know when to have a little bit there or not, and that takes a bit of practice. So the first time you work your way through, you'll find yourself getting stuck a lot. When you begin to understand how to approach objects for the vehicle you're in, it becomes easier in many ways. I quite like this is quite a relaxing zone here, nice sort of paradise oasis. Nice clean water. Muddy buggy driving through, and lots of rocks there to mind out for, so you want to step on it, but you've always got to be careful. It's the hidden bumps and the rocks that you're not expecting that can really throw you off, and suddenly they've rolled you on your side and you've lost a lot of time. So how to approach fast sections, it might seem straightforward, but the suspension can be quite rigid and can throw you off quite quickly. So some vehicles you might be quick just to run over those tyres, but I found sometimes it was easier for me just to go around them, more stable, and you know, just the different vehicles, obviously the way they approach things. I find that ATV, quad bikes, need to be a bit more direct in the way they approach an object. You still need to work it from side to side to get some traction occasionally. So it's very different driving style. You can roll very easily, so you're also controlling the rider weight. And these courses are challenging. You know, there's no doubt about it. Very challenging to learn when you first come to an object and you think there's only one way around it, and then you gradually explore the many different paths to getting through it. And often rolling downhill as well. You can go too vertical and just roll over the front. So it takes time. This level gradually opens up and becomes more and more rocky and more challenging. And some of these, this sort of edgy of seat stuff, you see gaps like this and just working your way through. And at this point, obviously I have no idea where I'm going. I'm exploring a lot of these maps for the first time. Just thinking, well, how do I work my way around? Being progressive. There's no fast way of doing this. You have to just take your time and try and understand what's the best way around. Having a little look there. And sometimes a bit slower. Get a bit of traction. Sometimes two areas of traction can help. Struggling there with that one. And so a lot of the game is spent trying to figure out how best to approach various different objects like this. But I didn't want to cut all of it. I wanted you to see some of the different areas, so I'm approaching from a different angle. And of course, we'll go through the tutorial later in the video as well to see a bit more how that works and how it educates you. I found the tutorial to be really helpful. So anyone who plays this game, play through the tutorial. As obvious as some things may be, and my frustration's going in there a little bit, then you just need to take your time. I'm trying to hit a run up here, get some motion. Just trying to work a little bit. Just unable to make that climb there. I did eventually work my way around it, of course. Finding another way through here to the side. So again, I'm just trying to find another way through. There's multiple routes through any given obstacle. Gradually finding my way through there now. So where it seems like an impenetrable wall and you think you know the way, suddenly you open up a little bit and you can see there's different routes that you never knew existed. And that's what it's like across this entire map. So the first time you play it, you will be way behind your competitors, as I am here, because they obviously all know the route because we're playing on the pro class. But I've got to go in there at a higher class. But having said that, there is, next time you play it, if you can gradually remember some of the key areas where you struggled, where you learned how the rider's weight needed to be positioned, or even here, I think I end up using the rock to drive on. I just had to be a bit more direct with it in the end. There we go. Just gave me a bit of traction on the rock. Slow revs. Not much power, but it just gave me what I need to get over, and then just down the hill, just trying to keep it nice and slow. Now, how do you work your way down here? Should you go extra steep? It's tricky. There's many different paths. And in a way, I don't even know where I'm going, but I can see the arrow in the distance, and that's helping me. It's a bit steep. But there was a park. I used to ride down a hill when I was younger that was like that. It was like a deadly hill. I went down it on a bike with no brakes, as you do, because it was part of a dare. And you just had to hold on for dear life and hope you didn't fall off. The things we do, so I just went for it. Unfortunately, it didn't work for him. Don't do that on a vehicle like this. Be sensible. Take your time, nice and slowly. You'll save a lot of time. Getting impatient here, aren't I? I thought I'd go for a little jump. Oh, and it worked. There we are. I thought I had enough momentum, and no, that's me flattened. So and then you come to more rocks again, where you're trying to find the way through. So for the different vehicles, there's different conditions, different levels of traction. Obviously, if it's muddy, you're looking for areas where there's less mud, rock that you can cling to. Changing your differential occasionally when you're in the buggies. Taking your time, knowing when you need a run up and when you have to hit objects directly. So it's nice to see something different on the consoles. We don't normally see games like this. There's stuff like Spin Tires and other titles that are out there, but I think this is nice in terms of the whole sport in a way, and I liked some of the tracks and the environments I have a very love-hate relationship with it. In fact, there were moments where I love finding a route over these rocks. I felt it was very satisfying. I quite like the audio of these as well, but there are times when I would just get so frustrated I could throw the controller out the window. So it is definitely, sometimes it's really calming to play. And you can see that map took me 14 minutes. One of those stages, one of those sections I was stuck on for 5 minutes. The same with these rocks, actually. I was stuck on these rocks. Sometimes you're only stuck on them for 2 minutes, but it feels like an eternity trying to find a way through. And I think as creating YouTube videos, you're wanting to get on with things and be good straight away, and it's simply not easy. This is a game that requires some experience. Experience goes a long way, not only understanding the environment, but understanding how to approach any given obstacle, and also taking your time. Sometimes you save a lot of time by simply driving around and looking at the obstacles that are in front of you and finding the path that works. Sometimes you want to drive quickly, sometimes you go straight over the rocks you see there, sometimes you've got to go straight over the rocks because the rider will fall off. Using the rider weight, getting over some of these lumps and bumps. These were long challenges, and this was all part of the career mode, working your way in. And so over the coming days, I'll have a few more videos, just me working my way through. But do let me know if you'd like to see edited or uncut. At the moment I'm going to do edited runs. I'll show a few falls, but it can be deeply frustrating for viewers. I'm wondering if you're seeing me falling, trying to learn how to get up a particular rock face. Every now and again, at one point in every stage, I find you reach that frustration point where you just want to put your foot down and get through it. But here, like I say, just figuring out how do you get across, hitting the rock faces directly, and gradually working my way through. Feeling good now. We're getting towards the end of the stage. There's the finish line. Come on, please, make it. And then you get beached, and you're thinking, right, now it's not going to work. Try to get into reverse, but sometimes reverse doesn't always let you reverse. In fact, it sort of turns the buggy or the quad just a little bit, which gives you the traction you need to move on. So, and of course, working on reputation, contracts, and opening up more of the map as you work your way through, and seeing what other elements there are. So, just hitting the wrong button there as we move on, and deciding which course race I should go for and seeing what's available on the map. And now we work our way towards the tutorial mode, and I found that this tutorial was very, very helpful in teaching you how to play the game. Starts off very basic, and we'll tune in and tune out to the tutorial, and we'll learn a little bit about my thoughts as we continue. But I'm going to leave you with a little bit of this tutorial now. I'm going to take it quite slowly, learning, just getting a feel for the controls as we roll forward, getting a feel for various different objects. Every now and again I put my foot down a bit just to see what it's like going much faster, and the buggies will lose control quite quickly if they hit a bounce bump incorrectly. Quite challenging. I've been playing this demo with control pad, but I will be testing it with a wheel on future videos coming in the next few days, and giving you guys more and more feedback in terms of what I'm getting out of the game as a whole. But I'm going to leave you with this tutorial and tune back in just a moment and give you more of my thoughts.
You also have a handbrake at your disposal. Apart from reducing your speed, you can perform power slides by using the handbrake while turning sharply. If your vehicle ends up on its side or you get stuck, use respawn to get back on track. Ribbons, flags, and signs help mark out the intended path. Follow them and you'll not get lost. Tearing down a ribbon results in a time penalty. Different ground surfaces will affect the traction of the wheels. You'll have less grip while on mud and sand compared with dirt and rock. Now, let's try driving over mud. It'll be harder to accelerate and turn. Avoid the cones. Hitting one will result in a time penalty.
And just when I think that I've made it, I do a step on it and I hit two cones. So it just shows you can never throw yourself straight into it. You always need to take a bit of time to learn some of the parts of the course and really just listen to what he's saying, talking about different textures on the slopes, stuff like that. Really just looking at what's in front of you, and it all works in the authentic way, and just taking your time and working your way through.
Having the right speed when traversing obstacles is crucial. Drive slowly enough to avoid overloading the suspension and maybe even damaging the vehicle. Pass the obstacles between the red flags, marking the point of entry. Failing to pass correctly will result in a time penalty. Gets damaged when you collide with obstacles, but the vehicle will not be affected by sustained damage in this tutorial. This is a seesaw. Drive up onto it. When driving over small obstacles like rocks, a good technique to avoid getting stuck on your belly is to place the wheels onto the rocks instead of between them.
And gradually working my way up the rocks. And again you get beached. There we go. Oh, it's so frustrating when that happens. But unfortunately you've got to just reset and start again, and we continue working our way through the tutorial. Very helpful though. It is sort of showing me different ideas. A lot of it's obvious, but it still helps to just learn it in a controlled way, in a prepared way, and that way you understand when you get to those objects for real, in a way, how to approach them. Because it can get frustrating when you don't know what to do, and you do reach times where you say, I don't know what to do. It happens quite often, surprisingly, so it's always a learning experience.
A general rule in off-road driving is to enter one wheel at a time. Try it out by driving over these pipes at a slight angle instead of straight on. In this hill climb, you'll learn a useful tool in driving technique for climbing steep slopes. The differential lock is a great tool when you're stuck and slipping. With an open differential, if one tire loses traction, the power transfers to the tire that is spinning. That doesn't help much when the spinning tire's in the air. With a locked differential, if a tire loses traction, the other tires can still pull. The downside to a locked differential is that it gives poor turning radius. Enable the differential lock now. Can cause the wheels to spin on the spot. On this slope, less throttle will give you more grip and therefore more forward momentum.
So that was quite challenging, working my way up the hill gradually. Again, using the technique of low revs. I got a bit lost at the top of this hill. For some reason, I'd completely lost my bearings. And I saw the arch down there and thought, oh, am I supposed to go down there? Ended up going the wrong way, and then having to work my way back up the hill again, which was a bit of a nightmare. You can lose your bearings quite easily, I find, because the road is all over the place. Towards the end of this parts of the tutorial, before we move on to the quad bike, and it's challenging. You're trying to find your way, find your route. It takes a bit of time, and eventually, no, you don't want to do that. Just trying to get a view, really, in terms of how to get up there. And I can see this sideways path. Let's do this. Let's work our way up and gradually find some traction, because it's just getting that traction without rolling. Gradually building towards it. Slow revs, and that's it. That's it. Working the wheel, working it up the hill. So there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of elements going on when you're driving, the technicality of the driving, and now just a few edits as we work our way up. I nearly got up to the gate and then rolled all the way down again. I thought that happened a couple of times. I thought, let's do this now. Let's get over these rocks. And again, finding a path is tricky. Just about going through the barrier. I needed to turn earlier, but when you get hooked on a rock, not much you can do about it at times. And I nearly rolled, and I thought, no, not again. I just want to get through this tutorial. Wow, that was exhausting. So, changing vehicles, and then you learn a different vehicle, and then we're going to proceed round on this one, and I'm going to leave you with a bit of tutorial and come back again in a moment.
Going downhill has its risk too, so remember to control your speed.
So working my way to the end of this tutorial, stage of the tutorial, and up those last few rock faces, gradually working out how to do it. It's a learning process, complete learning process, how to attack objects, and then we end up with this nice open world area that you can practice in to explore, just ride around, have some fun. Lots to see and do, no doubt. And I ride in, I have a quick ride around before completing the stage. Lots to do, lots to explore in Overpass, but I wanted to run this video today, show you some elements of it. We're going to have a bit more content coming on in the next few days. I've unlocked more and more of the game. Kevin will have a review, we'll have a team chat, and there'll be more information to come across so many different vehicles and environments, and we'll give you some feedback. But that's it from me for now. As ever, more soon. Thanks for watching today, viewers. I hope you enjoyed the video, and do like and subscribe. It supports what we do. You can go to the website directly above me here, or check out a couple of other videos on the channel. Perhaps things you're interested in terms of racing games, whether it be new or retro. It's all there. Check them out.